As we do our Taizé-styled worship service today, I would invite you to do a spiritual practice as I read this second text from Mark. It's called Lectio Divina, Latin for divine reading. And what I would like you to do is, as I read this, kind of pay attention to what draws your attention. What word, what image, what sentence, seems like it's just drawing you. And maybe ponder, perhaps that's something God wants to share with you this day. And just kind of reflect on that a little bit and wonder why. What I'd like to share is from Mark chapter 10, beginning in verse 17, indeed that story that I shared with the children. But as Jesus was setting out on a journey, a man came up and knelt before him and asked him, "Good teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" And Jesus said to him, "Why do you call me good? No one is good but God alone. Now you know the commandments. You shall not murder, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not steal, you shall not bear false witness, you shall not defraud, honor your father and mother." And he said to Jesus, "Teacher, I have kept all of these since my youth." And Jesus, looking at him, loved him and said to him, "You lack one thing. Go and sell what you own and give the money to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. And then come and follow me." And when he heard this, he was shocked, and he went away grieving, for he had many possessions. Friends, this is the word of the Lord. So the search was on. As I had shared, Jean and I had our 2-year-old grandson Peter spend the night with us last Saturday night. And so he was now home with his folks, and Jean was on her way to New York City, and I was doing a little picking up of toys around our house. We have some toys and books in what we call our magic toy corner. And one of the favorite toys for our grandsons has been and continues to be trucks. Trucks. The trucks are always taken off the shelf. 2-year-old Peter's a truck guy, so he had them off the shelf. He'd line them all up. We made truck sounds, and we'd push them down the hallway. And of course, they're all monster trucks, and so they drive over the top of everything. Peter likes to hold one, especially, it seemed, the black one, and he held it everywhere he went. Sitting in his high chair for lunch, he's got the black truck. Nap time, got the black truck. Bedtime, got the black truck. A trip in the car, he's got the black truck in hand. So, picking up the toys, I discovered a small crisis. I only found the one black truck. The other 3 somehow were missing, and I needed to find them. So the search was on. I looked in all the rooms of the house. I looked in the basement. I looked in the closets. I looked behind tables, under tables, behind chairs, nothing. And I started thinking, where might a 2-year-old have driven these trucks? If you're a parent or grandparent, have had kids at your house, you know how that goes. I had visions of Jesus' parables in Luke 15, the shepherd leaving the 99 sheep to find the one that was lost, and the woman with the 10 gold coins who loses one tears the house apart to find that one gold coin. I was looking for 3 lost trucks. Finally, I said, I'm going to call Jean. So I called Jean, and over the phone, we retraced Peter's steps that day. Then Jean said, did you look under the bed in the guest bedroom? No, I have not. So I did, and guess what? That's exactly where they were, parked in the dark under the bed. The lost had been found. There was much rejoicing in the Hink house. The 3 trucks have come home. This past Monday, I read in the Herald about another type of searching. In a Dear Annie column, a writer called it the hamster wheel. Maybe if you get the Herald, you saw that article too. The writer had done some thinking, and he was wondering about his life. He said he had gone to great schools, played college sports, married a wonderful woman, had 4 great kids, lived in a very nice upscale neighborhood. Working hard, he had got a promotion about a year ago. It was a big salary increase. It would seem, he said, I should be thankful and happy. But he was not. At least not for very long. All the usual marks of success did not leave him satisfied. He wrote he was content for a while, and then he got this restlessness, this searching, this wanting more. And he came to wonder if more was really what he needed. Was that all his life would be? This restless searching for more. So recently he said he'd gone to a therapist. Meeting with the therapist, he described his life as running on the hamster wheel. Working hard, but never really getting anywhere, never finding peace, always searching. The hamster wheel. Many people know that feeling. That restless searching for something. It might be more stuff. It might be success or relationships or happiness or money or a place to call home or forgiveness or love. It's the feeling that there's this emptiness, that missing puzzle piece, that something is just off. That life must mean more. And so there's this restless search. Maybe you know that feeling. I was listening to a radio station this week that played folk music. One of the songs that aired was Gentle on My Mind. You know Gentle on My Mind? Yeah, Gentle on My Mind. The song was written in 1967, though Gentle on My Mind's been recorded by all sorts of different artists. Glenn Campbell's version is the best known, and it's still played regularly. And I listened as Glenn Campbell sang, "It's knowing that your door is always open and your path is free to walk that makes me tend to leave my sleeping bag rolled up and stashed behind your couch. And it's knowing I'm not shackled by forgotten words and bonds and ink stains that have dried upon some lines that keeps you in the back roads by the rivers of my memory and keeps you ever gentle on my mind." And then the last verse, "I dip my cup of soup back from a gurgling, crackling cauldron in some train yard, my beard a roughening coal pile, and a dirty hat pulled low across my face. Through cupped hand around a tin can, I pretend to hold you to my breast and find that you're waving from the back roads by the rivers of my memory, ever smiling, ever gentle on my mind." It's hard to say those words and not sing them. I really like the poetry. Isn't that nice? That keeps you on in the back roads by the rivers of my memory, that keeps you ever gentle on my mind. Of course, the song is about a relationship, right? And we might wonder a little bit about the lack of commitment in the song. He seems to come and go and come back again. But if we dig a little deeper, I think we discover it's a song about loneliness. It's a song about a restlessness, a wondering, a searching, and a thankfulness that in the back roads of the rivers of his memory, there's someone in some place that feels like home, that's gentle on his mind. I think few people really connect with the song because they've lived on the road, walking on railroad tracks and highways by wheat fields and coal mines and junkyards. Rather, I think, most people feel gentle on my mind because they have experienced that lonely, restless searching the song sings about. I know that feeling. Over the next few weeks, we're going to wonder a little bit about that searching. And maybe when we push away all the busyness and the noise and the running on the hamster wheel, we'll discover what we suspected. This restless longing really always has been this longing for God. Searching. You see, that's the setting for the book of Ecclesiastes. It's that guy running on the hamster wheel. It's that singer of Gentle on My Mind wondering about life. Ecclesiastes is about someone who takes a break from long hours of work and that long list of chores and those long, boring days, takes a break from all the noise and all the advertising of stuff and all the expectations and wonders, what is it all about? The writer dares to open his or her eyes to real life and all the pain and all the mystery and all the beauty all around. And he says, what's the point? What's the point? Now, Ecclesiastes, as Lisa had said, is not really about a happily ever after journey, but it is an honest one, sort of like an Ernest Hemingway novel. Searching. As the writer wonders about life, a word comes up again and again in Ecclesiastes. It's often translated vanity. I think in Lisa's translation it was emptiness. Vanity. It's like a refrain. It's like a chorus. It's mentioned 37 times in the book of Ecclesiastes. Vanity. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity, striving after the wind. The Hebrew word is hebel. It means vapor, empty, futile, useless. Vanity is life like sand that just seems to slip through our fingers. Vanity is the observation that so often the best human efforts and plans evaporate before all the unplanned events of life that just seem to happen. When Ecclesiastes says vanity, it's an observation that human beings are not masters of their destiny, no matter how hard we try. And all the work we do, we are not masters of our destiny. Things happen, life goes sideways. We are not in control. Searching. Our text from Ecclesiastes establishes this theme. Looking at creation, the author sees perpetual movement, but is there any real purpose? I look around at creation, and is it really going anywhere? The sun rises, the sun sets, and then it rises again. The wind blows to the south and then comes around to the north and blows to the south again. Rivers run to the sea, but the sea is never full. Ages come and go, but is there any really progress? The writer ponders those things and thinks not. Now, this is a very different observation of creation compared to the other books in the Bible. I'll say that straight up. It's a very different look at creation. In places like Genesis chapters 1 through 3, Psalm 104, Isaiah, and Job chapters 38 to 41, creation is this wonderful gift of the Creator God. It's filled with beauty and it's filled with wonder. And if you look close enough, you can catch a glimpse of God's handiwork. Creation in these texts is filled with God's love and purpose, the place of God's salvation, and it reflects God's glory. Now, Ecclesiastes will have none of that. Rather, the writer observes creation and life are more like a flat circle, repetition without purpose, At most, the author may look upon life and the world and see a clockwork type of creation designed by a clockmaker who now only stands back, watches creation go round and round and round. Ecclesiastes is not necessarily filled with the good news and the hope that we might expect. But I would say this, remember, it is just one book in this library called the Bible. And there are answers in other books. And yet I find it of value because Ecclesiastes, I think, tends to offer a type of tough love. It calls us from daydreams and easy answers to honest questions about the deeper things of life. And for those who want to step off the hamster wheel, for those who hum gentle on my mind, Ecclesiastes gives an honest word for the search. And if you wonder if people really wonder like Ecclesiastes anymore, I would call to your attention the 1977 hit song from the group Kansas. Do you know what it is? Dust in the Wind. Yep. And the Herman Melville book Moby Dick and the hit television series Breaking Bad. All of those and so much more pick up this same type of Ecclesiastes thinking and wondering. Searching. So while humming gentle on my mind, I began to see the familiar story from Mark 10 in a new way. This may have been a person, this rich young ruler, on a hamster wheel. We don't know, the text doesn't say if he inherited his money or he worked hard for it. We just know that he is wealthy, and we know he's young. And I can see him one day looking at his life and wondering, is this all there is? Is this all there is? He's chased after more, and it's not enough. And he notices it never fills an emptiness. It never quiets a restlessness. He never feels like he's come home. Maybe I'm thinking he's read Ecclesiastes. And he says, yeah, I'm on that search. And he's got a hunch. He's got a hunch that it has to do somehow with religion and God. So he's talked to some rabbis, and they've got him onto the 10 Commandments. They said his life needed religion, and he's good at, and that's what he's done. He studied and talked and prayed and lived those commandments. And he's good at it. He's a good young man. He's smart, he's moral, he's kind. And now along with his wealth, he's got religion. That should do the trick, shouldn't it? Shouldn't that fill the void, give him purpose, calm that restlessness? I think we know the answer. No, not really. If he's honest, he's just exchanged a life of hard work for a religion of hard work. And if he's honest, he says he's still restless. If he's honest, he's still looking, he's still listening, he's still searching. And you see, searching, that's how he comes to Jesus. He comes to Jesus searching. They talk a little back and forth. Jesus sees his heart. He knows his emptiness. He hears and he knows his questions. He knows what this young man is looking for. And Jesus shares with him the answer that his soul desired. Jesus says, give it up, sell it all, get off the hamster wheel, and come follow me. You see, there's a difference between knowing about God and knowing God. Let me say that again. There's a difference between knowing about God and knowing God. And the young man knows about God, and Jesus invites him to come and know God. It's the peace for his restlessness. It's the answer to his deepest questions. It's the end of his searching. And you see, all of his stuff has just gotten in his way. Now, as we read the story, we know that the young man can't do it that day. He just can't do it that day. But in my mind, I like to imagine there's more to the story. I believe Jesus was in the back roads of the rivers of his memory, ever waiting, ever gentle on his mind. And I'd like to imagine that the young man would come back to Jesus again. Last Sunday, Jean drove to New York City for a quick 3-day trip to visit her sons Tristan and Boris. And while there, she shared with me that she made a wonderful discovery. Close to Boris's apartment, a half a block from the hotel where she stayed on Midtown East Side, Jean discovered Greenacre Park. And if you have ever been to New York City, you know the wonder of something green, right? She discovered Greenacre Park. Greenacre Park was founded in 1971 in Midtown East Side for the people of New York City, quote, in the hope that they will find here some moments of serenity in the busy world. The park itself is slightly smaller than a tennis court. That's all. But within that space, there's a 25-foot waterfall. There's a brook that bubbles over stones. There's a trellis with tables and chairs set in a grove of honey locust trees. There are evergreens and rhododendrons and azaleas and Japanese holly. Seasonal flowers in pots add more color to the park. It is a type of oasis. Go online and check it out. Stepping from the sidewalk into the park, you leave behind the noise of the traffic. You leave behind the hustle of the people. You leave behind the cold of stone and concrete, and all you hear is the sound of water. All you see is artfully designed stone and the green of living things. All you smell is the clean air of a forest. Greenacre Park provides a space for restless souls to slow down, to take a deep breath, and to wonder about the deeply human things of a meaningful life. Perhaps you know what that's about. Perhaps you wonder about something or someone more. Perhaps you know about this type of restlessness, this emptiness, this searching yourself. That's the plan for the next few weeks, to take a few moments in our own Greenacre Park. Today we begin with searching. Asking the questions, talking a little bit about the restlessness. That's where we start today. Today we step into the park. And I can't help but wonder if, from the back roads by the rivers of our memories, it's always been God who is ever gentle on our minds. Amen.